Yeah, it's Benji, her Benji. I call myself her Benji, but I don't speak any German. Um, that was kind of lame, wasn't it? So I'm trying to keep my phone plugged in. One phone. There we go. All right, so sorry about that. So just talking off the cuff. This is session 7. I've done like 6 sessions. I've talked about probably like my philosophical pursuits, my 20s. Christianity, philosophy, whatever. So I'm just basically a dude who you can parachute me in anywhere. I'll find a job and I'll fit in nicely to any society in the world, and I'll respect the people, and I'll be able to adapt. So there wouldn't be anywhere where I wouldn't find something good in the people, or where I wouldn't be able to make myself useful. You know, and I probably could pick up the language in 2 years, a lot of language too, because I've got a very plastic brain. So I'm just very frustrated in my life because it's so boring. But what are you going to do? I just found I traveled so much when I was younger. It's just like, yeah, I can just, like, I really live in a nice house. My view right now is just fantastic, like trees and valley. It's just uncomfortable. This is over the moon. Like no one's home right now. My kids aren't home. My wife's not home, so that's very good. I wouldn't say I'm happily married because my wife's a bit of a monster. But it could be worse. So at least she's not a druggie. Maybe it'd be good if she was a pothead. She'd be mellow or something. I don't know. So today I wanted to start the thread with the 2 weeks I spent in Florida. Now, the 2 weeks I spent in Florida was basically I bussed in from Atlanta, Georgia. In Atlanta, Georgia, there's two subway lines on what they call the MARTA, MARTA, which is the Atlantic Atlantic Atlanta Metropolitan Railway Transit Authority or whatever. So there's just two subway lines. And at the end of one of those subway lines, you go for a little 5-10 minute walk, and then you find there's all these kind of employment agencies run by Chinese people that are trying to source basically what they call in America Hispanics. So, I mean, keeping in mind, I'm a citizen of Spain. We have that word in Spain as well. We say hispano, hispano. So, hispano parlante means Spanish speaker, and hispano means just Spanish, basically. So, in America, they say Hispanic, they pronounce the H. So we're all Hispanics. We could be from Spain, or we could have a Spanish passport from Australia, or it could be from El Salvador. It's all the same thing. We're all Hispanic. So I just found at one point of the very brief, I didn't live in America long, it was like a year and a half, but I don't think time really even exists. I know that's a strange thing to say. I don't really believe time exists. I believe in states of mind. So a state of mind can make a relatively short period, like year and a half, seem long. Now that wasn't a year and a half all spent at once. That was a year and a half spread out over, I don't know, maybe 5 year period, 5.5 year period. So less than that, maybe. No, more than that, more than that. But yeah, I mean, it was so spread out that year and a half in America that I am safe to say I drank my full cup. I mean, if I wanted to stay there after that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just like am resigned to having um, a mediocre life in the sense that I may not build like businesses up and be a jet setter and things like that. I think with this virus now, I think a lot of people are going to find it's difficult to fly around, and a lot of people were flying around before that were very, very average, very mediocre people, like I was really. I just stopped flying because I flew so much. It's just like ooh, you lose your you lose your brain, you lose your mind, because you can't travel endlessly. You'll end up damaging your brain. My brain's, I don't know, I think my brain's damaged now though from not traveling enough. Um, yeah, so anyway, I went to Florida. I mean, I was in Atlanta and I saw I could go from Atlanta from these employment agencies almost anywhere up and down the east side of the United States. So there was one job you just want dishwashers for Chinese restaurants. You can go all the way to New Hampshire. They have one in New Jersey. Could have went to Kentucky. Could have went to Ohio. Could have went to Tennessee. So many places. Um, and I thought I just want to check out a different American state. And I probably should have chose New Haven or something like that. Somewhere up in the New England states probably might have been more interesting for me. Um, but in the end, I chose Florida. And yeah, Florida people, I respect they have that stand your ground law. So if you mess with them, they should just be able to whip out their gun and shoot you. I think that's great. Florida people are very regular people. Like, I mean, they're just regular people. They're just like, they're not very pretentious. I think they're not particularly, I haven't seen them really brag more than other Americans. I never heard any Floridians bragging, actually. So some Americans you might see on TV demonstrate a weakness actually by bragging. Certain individuals, I wouldn't say. But yeah, that could be a weakness that a lot of Americans as individuals share is bragging. That's a weakness. So, but yeah, didn't really see that in Florida. Just regular people, and a regular state. I mean, I didn't see much of it. What I know about it is just from um, just reading and things like that. Not so much what I saw there. So it doesn't have that kind of energy in the air that California has. Something in the air in California, something about California. It's a special place. I think my belief is that it's because it was part of the ancient supercontinent of Lemuria, which Australia was also a part of, and everything west of the San Andreas Fault is like a magical land. I mean, people that make it shitty, but as a Spaniard, California is a desirable place to be. Just everything's in Spanish. Like California means hot oven, caliente horno. Hot oven because it's very hot there. They really got some of the hottest deserts in the world. All the names are in Spanish. The Angels is Los Angeles, and many. Yeah, it's very comfortable. Everything's visto chulo. All the names are in Spanish. So easy, so nice. And yeah. So I like California, but Florida's not California. Florida's okay. I don't know. So anyway, I was at this Chinese restaurant for a couple of weeks and I left. I said enough. And like the guy I was working with, he was an interesting guy though. Maybe I made the right choice. Like you don't get to meet people like that very often. This guy was a coyote, so he would smuggle the people across the border. And these are people that they could end up becoming American citizens one day, or their kids, because they legalized it with DACA or the Dream Act, or Reagan legalized them. But these people generally cannot cross the desert without um, a leader, a smuggler, a coyote. And my coworker at the restaurant in Florida, he was a coyote, and probably none of the coyotes would be satisfied just being a coyote. They probably were like my buddy. They probably would dabble in many kinds of crime. So, for example, he was telling me, like, we'd be in the kitchen there in what was it called? Winter Haven. It's a very small town in Polk County. You can go there, and there's a town called Winter Haven, and there's probably not many Chinese restaurants in Winter Haven. This was one of them. It was like had a panda bear or bamboo or something. I don't know. We had a couple of Floridian girls there with the waitresses, nice girls, and they're young. They're like 17 or something. Yeah. I mean, you know, they're just nice girls, and um, yeah, me and Roberto, that was a Mexican guy. We were just talking Spanish all day, and um, he was saying, like Yeah, I mean, he was a cook, so he would just like stand over a big olla, like a pan, like to make it something like that. Had that in Spain to make a paella or something, like a big giant pan. I don't know what he cooked there. I think he cooked Chinese food because Chinese restaurant, so he knew how to cook it. He's a pretty sharp guy, and he's a very frank guy, very straight down the line, and it didn't come across as threatening or intimidating. He seemed like a friendly, likable guy. But yeah, I mean, I can't condone, you know, crime because I'm not a criminal. I just discovered this website by some guy, and he's an English guy, and he went to America to sell ecstasy, and he got busted by the feds. He got like 9 years in jail, and he's got some very interesting channels now on YouTube. I can't remember his name now. Sean something. Can't remember, but he's a nice guy anyway. He seems like he's reformed, like because he spent 9 years in jail, you know, with that Sheriff Arpaio. And, if Sheriff Arpaio had me locked up in Arizona, I'd be like, come on, Sheriff, I shouldn't be here, bro. I just camped on public ground. I mean, they're not idiots, they know who the crims are. They lock up the crims. The guy was trying to say, oh, they just lock anyone up. They got quotas. It's like, no, if you're not committing a crime, it's very unlikely you're going to get locked up. It's not. I mean, everyone that gets locked up said they actually did crimes. Like I didn't actually do crimes. The biggest crime I did was like overstay my visa. You know what I mean? Like I didn't break into someone's house. I didn't steal someone's property. Didn't do anything. And why would you do it? Everyone can have a gun, shoot you anyway. Plus, the cops are just astoundingly quick. They'll just be there in 2 minutes and cuff you, and you're going to go to jail. Well, why do you want to do that? What's the point of that? Like, just get a job or something. Like obviously, yeah, if you're dealing drugs, you can make a lot of money. That's what this guy Roberto was telling me. He's like, oh, I'll pay you 10,000 a month. And you just be weighing and packaging the drugs. And it's like, I can't. Well, I can't do that. I can't do that because, yeah, it's illegal. I don't want to get jail, you know. And I couldn't trust him either, like, because he says that, but then later on, it's like he'll put a gun to your head and try to get you under his thumb or something. I don't want to go there. I'm not going to surrender my freedom to do crime. I mean, because, yeah, I don't believe in crime. So, because I know crime doesn't pay. Like, I don't want to push drugs around and stuff. I don't want to. So he's like, yeah, we can pimp prostitutes out, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I just wanted to hear his stories. Like, so his stories were really cool. Like when we had one day off out of 7, and I was only there for 2 weeks. And I just left because I just got bored. But he's all like, he was really getting animated. We were just kind of like I was lying we'd have to sleep on a boss's lounge room floor, some Chinese guy, and I mean he had his wife and kids there. Like he was just trying to save a buck, cheap rent or whatever. Pay the employee less, didn't pay much. It's like slavery. And, like yeah, this Roberto would just get so animated. He'd be like, oh, you had to see me, bro. I had like 2 cell phones, and there's a helicopter, FBI helicopter tracking me up there. And, so I've got like a truck on the other side of the border that's just driving up and down the freeway, scouting around, looking for cops and everything, and highway patrol. And we got our bus on the other line, and blah, 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 and like the helicopter light would be shining down the hill. There's like 50 people under his wing, and it gets cold in the desert. Like people can just freeze to death overnight, So, because he wants to keep them safe. If they don't pester him, they probably no one would die. But if the helicopters come and they get delayed, like they gotta hide from the helicopter under a rock or under a bluff or something, and then someone could die because it's too cold, because they spend so much time there, putting pressure on everything. So I mean, they shouldn't. Obviously, they have to enforce the border laws. I think we can pivot to politics now. I think the Democrats like slavery. Like and it's a really insidious form of slavery when you don't call it slavery, but there's something about America that just promotes slavery, like, I mean, if you're in that bottom rung, you better find a way off it, because they have a whole class of people in America like that too, the working poor, and they live like in a trailer park and they can't get up, and I'm very well read. Like, I mean, I just spent like years and years and years and years and years and years reading, and it doesn't really matter to me if I get fated as an intellectual by like Harvard or something, because I'm out to please God, not Harvard University, not some dummy that believes, or a bunch of dummies that believe people evolved from monkeys and we shouldn't, you know, study the effects of ecstasy, on the university students. It's a joke, isn't it? So, it's like, yeah, I'm not worried about impressing people like that. So if that puts me in a low class because I don't graduate university because I can't jibe with that psychology, I don't care. It's like, there's a lot of smart people out there that don't have degrees and they learn how to do incredible feats of tradecraft, like mechanics, welders, builders. Like, if you actually take the time to see what the techniques and the skills they bring to bear to build something, a building, or fix a car or whatever, you realize that they're very well educated. And you'll see that when they bill you when you take your car to get fixed. So a lot of them make a lot more money than